All right, guys, welcome back to the training. It's Cole Gordon here. And this training is on how to turn your two-step comments into a highly qualified sales call. So if you haven't watched the training before where we talked about how to create a two-step that's effective, watch that first and then actually create the two-step. Because once you make a good one and you start getting all these comments, it's going to put you into urgency mode and you're just going to get this stuff done and book a lot of sales calls. But if you've already done that, that's great. Watch this training. The reason why this is going to be so important, let me just preface it by saying, is that a lot of people right now in the, especially like in the marketing space, they're doing those two-step posts, right? It's like, if you want this, comment below. And the reason they do that is because they figured out, okay, like it helps my organic reach, I can make my post go viral, and if I DM them, get them their inbox, it helps my reach that way as well, which I put right here. One of the reasons you should do that is because it really, 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 really helps your organic reach, and it'll start to get you serious traction on your profile. That's how I got my traction so fast and what made my launch so successful. So, that's why you always direct message them, and that's what some people are doing that, even really not a lot. But nobody that I have seen has figured out how to take those comments and systematically turn them into sales calls. Okay, and this is a process on how to do that, and it's really, really effective. It's proven. I've used it to generate millions of dollars, so for a different company. So it works. Okay, it's a numbers game, but it works. All right, and if it's not working for you, come to me for feedback, because we got to look at your actual messenger conversations and see what's wrong. Because believe me, I've taught this to dozens of people, and it works. Okay, now. There's basically two objectives you can have off your post. You can essentially just build your assets, so like Facebook group, email list, YouTube channel, Instagram following, whatever, and like cross-pollinate platforms. You can do that, and to be honest, like if you don't have existing lead, or if you have existing lead flow and you don't need cash now, like maybe you're doing well on paid ads or something, I would maybe do like 3 or 5 of 2 steps just to build like goodwill and sort of train your page to respond to those 2 steps, and then I would implement this how I suggested. Okay, that'll just build goodwill, and it'll give them, especially if the trainings and the stuff you're putting out is good. It'll train them to start commenting, and then the same people will always start commenting over and over and over, and it'll snowball. So do that for like the first 3 to 5 times. Just do like 1 a week. Okay. If you don't have lead flow / like you need cash right now, then you're gonna do this. Okay. And one thing before we get into the script, because it's a behemoth and it's truthfully the moneymaker. It's really, really good. All I ask is don't share it, because it's very, like, you could use this, if you have a business offer, you could use this word for word. It's going to work, and you should. Just that's what I would do. But it's very tactical, okay? So this will work. Right now, it works really, really well. Okay, I've only taught it to a few people. If anybody else is out there doing this, they probably learned it from me. But what I don't want you to do is like share this with a bunch of people, because as more and more people, especially in the marketing community, start to do this, the effectiveness will go away, and people are going to recognize it. They're going to know they're going into a sales process, and it's not going to work. So I don't recommend sharing it. Please, just keep this to yourself. Use it. And it's going to make all of us a lot more money. So without further ado, let's get into the script. So first of all, where and how to engage the leads. All right. So when someone basically comments on the post, you're going to like the comment because it gives them a notification, and you're going to reply, check your DM. And I would like rotate this. I would do check your DM. Hey, I DM'd you, right? Rotate it because it'll decrease the chance that Facebook is basically going to flag you, okay? And I would do this off of your mobile phone, okay? Worst idea ever is doing it off desktop. It's going to lag, take forever. Your computer will probably overheat and explode. Do it off your mobile phone. That's what I do, and it's a game changer. So you have to do that. If you have a VA, they can do it as well, but I recommend that you or your setters do the rest, right? So like, don't try to have a VA take them through the script. I would just have the VA send the check your DM, right? And then send the first initial message, okay? Because check your DM and the first initial message are going to be off your phone. And then everything else, I would recommend getting on Messenger, like going to like opening it up in a tab, getting on Messenger and doing it there. But the first two messages do on your phone because it'll save you a ton of time, okay? So you can have a VA do it, but I would recommend, if you have setters, just have them do it all. If you have a VA, you can have them do the initial message and then have the setters do the rest. And then I did an example video here, okay? If you have a sales team, liking and responding to the comment indicates you've claimed the lead. Okay, so then no other setters are going to hop in here and take the lead from the setter who claimed it. Now, these two steps, you should always do them because, and that's why, like, get your prospect into a Facebook group. That way, after you've talked to them and they enrolled, or especially not enrolled, for follow-up, it's the easiest way to follow up with people. And then you do these two steps regularly, and then what's going to happen is people didn't close 4 months ago, they're going to comment for this thing, and then your setter or your closer can re-engage them in that conversation. So what I'm saying here is, for your setters and your closers, make sure that they go through the post first and identify all of their leads or the people they've already spoken with, and then hit them up first. And then we'll talk about how to actually approach that conversation a little bit differently, because I wouldn't use this script for those people, okay? So step 2, let's understand the psychology of this process, okay? So first we're going to confirm what they asked for, and also / remind them of the post, because people are going to, a lot of people, they're commenting on all this different stuff. They've requested different lead magnets. They just forget, right? And then we want to set the frame, okay? Similar like how you frame the call in a sales call, we want to set the frame in the messenger conversation to basically get permission to ask them questions. And we're going to frame our questions that the reason we're asking it is for the prospect's best interest, okay? This concept of preeminence is really important in everything that you do, okay? We'll talk more about that in the training, but you'll frame it and you'll get permission to ask them questions with preeminence while building the value of the training and then giving them a clear light at the end of the tunnel. What that means is we're going to say, hey, I need to ask you 3 questions. Is that okay? Okay, you'll see the exact scripting in a second. But when you give them an exact number, it gives them this relief, like, okay, like it's only 2-3 questions over Messenger. It's fine. And then they say, yeah, go shoot, ask me the questions, okay? Now, the point of the questions is to create duality. All right. So we really, it's not about the questions, it's about getting the right information. So we want to ask the questions to elicit the following, okay? Current situation, desired situation, and what's keeping them from getting what they want, okay? This is critical. You have to get all of these 3, right? Where are they at now? What's their general situation of where they're at in the journey? What do they want? What's the goal? What's the biggest challenge in getting that, okay? Those are the only things that you need to get. And once you get that, you have everything that you need to at least lead it to a call, okay? After we get all this information, we're going to ask permission for feedback. And then what we're going to do is preferably provide insight, which is going to help the person think about their problem differently. And once we give them an insight and they're thinking about their problem differently, that positions us as an authority, and they're also going to start to lean in towards us, okay? So if we can get their buy-in on the insight that we give them, what'll end up typically happening is they're going to be much more receptive to a call, and they'll actually start asking you questions, and then you can kind of lean out and be like, oh yeah, those are some really good questions. Let's hop on a call. Okay, so I would do this. It's just really hard for, like, if you're an influencer and you're an expert and you're doing this, I would go for the insight. Just make sure you do it on the what, not the how. If you're a closer or a setter, if you feel like you're a real expert in your market, you know your stuff, do the insight. If not, I would go right for the consult, because you might not have an expertise really in what you're selling like your influencer does, and it might be hard to do this. And you don't want to do this and do a bad job, because you're gonna kill the conversation. Okay, so I did a video here on how to do the explanation. It's pretty good. I would go ahead and watch that, because it's going to tell you how to provide the insight, which is the best part of the call, and it actually gives a whole overview of this entire process. It's like a 8-minute video. So, and then again, if you're a setter, you don't want to provide insight, you're just going to go right for the consult, okay, or a triage. So some tips doing this: use short and pointed questions, okay? Like, don't you want to have brevity, okay? Don't use a bunch of smiley faces. Don't tell stories. Like, it's just, honestly, just follow the script, okay? It's just pointed question, great question, nice question, that's awesome question, okay? When you give insight, it's always the what, not the how. And also, like, the best way to give insight is not like giving them insight on what to do. It's giving them insight that further helps them understand their problem, okay? If you educate on the problem, what you do is you help them understand their situation a little bit more clearly or in a different way, which positions you as the authority, and it just moves them closer in the pocket in terms of actually getting them on the call and selling them. Okay, so it actually could produce a really quality consult that way. But what you don't want to do is then, let's say you're doing Facebook ads, you don't want to give them insight on the how and start telling them about, oh, well, it's like your pixels set up this way, and you need to do this differently, and try this ad set budget. Then they're in the analytical brain, and it's probably going to start like a more of an argument and a back or forth. If you can just educate them on the problem, here's the problem, here's why your problem's a problem, and here's what's going to happen if you don't change, and here's a story about a client that I had that basically proves that to be true, that's what we're looking for. And honestly, watch this video. I do a pretty good explanation here. But, and also, this is also really important, guys. It took me a long time to figure this one out, and it was just because I was so busy. But if I would have figured this one out, I would have made a lot more money doing this. When you start the conversation and engage it, you want to have the conversation like anywhere from, hopefully like 3 hours to 2 days after they comment. And then once you start the conversation, they start responding, you want to have that conversation all at once. Okay? Don't drag it over multiple days, because they're going to get mad. They're going to be like, dude, I just want the training. Can we stop with the questions? Blah, 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 blah. Or they're just going to stop responding and they're going to forget. Okay? So try to have the conversation, boom, all at once. All right? Now, let's get into the script. So the opening message is, hey, I saw you commented the term, right? So like if it's like comment sales, if you want this, the term, okay? On my post about the 3 best things you can do in sales training. Are you still interested in getting the training? Just getting an official head count before I make it LOL, okay? So with this, this is on the premise that basically you haven't made the training yet, okay? And I've used this and it worked really, really well, okay? So you can literally use this exactly. I would even put the LOL here because it makes it seem like it's not as copy and paste. If you've already made the training, you can just leave it at just this only, okay? Then they're going to reply, and then you're going to say, awesome, and then you're going to send that message. Now, I'll just go ahead and tell you this. What works better to make, because what these people are going to be wondering is this dude a bot, okay? When you break up your text like this, it makes it seem way more personal, okay? So I would highly recommend doing this and not like copying, pasting this whole message, okay? So you say, awesome, send. I'll be putting this together in the next couple of days, send. Would you mind if I ask you 2 or 3 questions really quick? Just would like to get an idea of how I can make this training as valuable and helpful for you and everyone else as possible. Let me know, okay? So here, this is what I meant by preeminence. Like, can I ask you some questions because I'm trying to get some information so I can make this as valuable for you as possible, right? So I'm framing this as them doing what I want them to do is in their own best interest, okay? And that's a principle. We'll talk about this when we get into the sales stuff, but like, that's a principle that goes into all of your calls as well, right? The reason why you always want to frame it in their own best interest, that's preeminence, okay? Let me know, okay? And they're going to reply yes. And then say, for a business, okay. So for a business growth type of offer, this is the questions I would ask. But like, you could, for this video, I gave a health and weight loss example. And really, you can adjust these questions however you need, okay? So the questions would go, question 1 is awesome. Then you're going to send that. For starters, what do you do / offer for clients and how is it priced? All right, that's all you send. And you can I would recommend probably having a TXT file like one of these and copying and pasting this, and this one you're going to copy and paste off your phone, okay? Everything from here down is on desktop messenger. This is off your phone, okay? So the here down, we're going to go to this tab. We're going to open Messenger and message people manually that way. Okay, a lot better, but you want to start it on your phone. Okay, so awesome. For starters, what do you do / offer for clients? How is it priced? They're going to respond. So this is a general question. We just want their like situation on their business. Then they're going to say, you know, I do weight loss. It's like 3K. Okay, great. Nice. Send. What's your revenue goal for this year or for 2019 or for 2020 or whatever? And they're going to say, oh, I want to make, you know, people will say 500K, send. That's it. Some people will give you the life story. So whatever you get, you just say great. And if you don't mind me asking, so they're going to reply and then say, hold on, let me say this real fast. Awesome. Send. So they're going to reply. You're going to say awesome. And then if you don't mind me asking, what's your revenues now? Send. And what do you think the biggest challenge is in getting from there to, you know, 500 grand a month or whatever it is? Send. And then this is really important as well. I've worked with X amount of clients who have a similar situation as you just mentioned. So I can probably shed some insight if that's something you're open to. All right. So what we do here, we got their goal, and now we're going for their current situation and their perceived challenge in the same message. Okay, and that's important because these are two of the more invasive questions. So I paste them here with non-invasive questions, and then I get to the invasive here, but then I give them a reason why it's in their own best interest for them to respond. Okay, and then I also give myself credibility here. Just, you got to trust me on this. I've sent thousands of messages. This is what works. Okay, so, and then also you're going inferior here. When we talk about the postures, this is important here. So if you don't mind me asking, what's your revenues now? And what's your biggest challenge from getting from current revenues to goal revenues? And then so we worked with clients in their same situation as whatever you know, their business and offer was. So I can probably shed you some insight on, you know, whatever, if you're open to it. And a lot of people are going to respond, yeah, like right now I'm at 10K a month, and honestly I think the biggest thing is team and systems and scaling. And you're going to be like, okay, great. Awesome. And so, and they'll also be like, yeah, I'm open to any feedback you have. Okay. So, I just basically restated what I said here. And then now we're going to ask for permission. We're going to say, all makes sense. Send. Are you open to some feedback? All right. Now, basically here you have two options. Okay. So you can go right for a call, which if you're a setting for an influencer, I recommend this because sometimes it can be hard to give them good feedback if you're not like a true expert in what you do and you're just the salesperson, right? So here I would just say, do you have 15 minutes here in a few hours or sometime tomorrow? Send. Based on what you said, I have a few thoughts for you on how you could overcome the challenge, but I want to dive a little bit deeper and make sure, and then I would just kind of tailor in some stuff specific about what they said, right? So you want to frame it, like go for the 15-minute call, which is the triage call you're setting for your closer or setting for your influencer, whatever. And then here, what we're going to do is kind of give them pique a little bit of curiosity. Hey, I got some thoughts about this. It might be, you know, this thing you need to work on, and it could also be something going on with this. I want to ask you some more questions so I can just give you some valuable insight on what would be your best next direction from here. Okay, so it works. This works really well. I've tried this a bunch, but people will just think you're giving us some genuine feedback here because it's not really framed as a sales call. Okay, so if you're the closer or if you're the influencer, I would give insight and then book the call. Okay, so it's hard to give a good example of insight. Without actually just giving you like an actual example, which I might include in this training. But basically, a great way of giving insight is the pre-pitch method. That is like literally all of what it is. But you're not going to hammer people with that much text. The video above does a really good job explaining it as well, so go watch that video. But here's an example, is like, I totally get that lead flow is isn't good right now and you're trying to work on Facebook ads. And while that definitely is a problem, based on what you told me and working with thousands of clients, you probably have an offer problem as well. And then I'll send that. 75% of the success or failure of your lead gen actually comes down to your offer. If you don't have that right, it's like building a house on a foundation of sand. Does that make sense? Okay. And what's going to happen here is they'll be like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. My offer sucks. Or they're going to be like, oh, well, what do you mean? Like, then my offer is this. Like, what do you think about it? And you might kind of educate them a little bit more on the what, tie that down, and then they'll ask more questions and you lead it to a call. Okay. So again, go to the trainings above. And like I said, they'll start asking you some questions. That's the best way. When they start asking you some questions and this flips the script, it's really easy to book a call. Okay. Now, sometimes you'll give them the insight and they'll just be like, yeah, man, makes sense. Right? And it ends there. So don't get discouraged. Use this copy, okay? So, say, great. Well, look, independent if you're interested in becoming a private client or not, I could definitely give you some insight on some offer frameworks I've used for agency clients that are producing 50 grand months consistently or even more. Do you have time Monday or Tuesday to chat? Okay. I've tested this one. Works really, really well, right? You're eliminating the risk of it being like a high pressure sales call. You're saying I could definitely give you some insight on the offer frameworks I've used for agency clients and what they're doing to produce 50K months consistently. Do you have this time or that time to chat? Okay. So from here, and I'll give you guys, obviously you have the script here, but here's some information on how to like basically tie down the appointment, as well as how to follow up before the appointment, okay? Because we want to book the appointment and then we also want to kind of, just drip our follow-up, a day here, 2 days out, just to make sure that they're reminded of it. And if you send them an asset and you get them doing something, that they actually review the asset and you get them working on some homework and doing what you're telling them to do before the call, because that's going to build consistency. That's extremely persuasive, okay? So read this through. I put some information on here. And then I also want to talk about what to do if they ghost, okay? So one thing, like, don't get discouraged. When I was training people on this, like people would come to me and they'd be like, oh yeah, I did 10 of these and, all of them stopped responding. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, like do 300 of these. All right. Second of all, it's a numbers game. Okay. So you can't get discouraged about 10, but if they don't respond, you keep messaging them. Okay. And so here's what you do. So basically, again, try not to, a big reason why they're going to not respond is if like you drag out the conversation for like 5 days. Okay. But the best way this is going to be to break the ice is if you initiated this conversation before you release the asset. You basically just say, hey, I just got, the asset done. The 3-part sales training on whatever done. Do you still want it? Okay. And then they're going to be like, yeah. And then be like, by the way, what do you say what your goal was for 2019? Or so, by the way, I'm curious, what's your goal for this year? Okay. And then just go right into it again and see what they do. Okay. Also, you can use, here's just some follow-up messages I like. We'll do a whole training on effective follow-up and pipeline management. But just bumping this to the top of your inbox, great one, okay? Pure question mark, that's great as well. Hey, just want to make sure you didn't lose this in the shuffle. And then this one actually works the best is you alive question mark LOL. That one always gets response. It's really, really good. So I'll do a separate little training and I'll put this down here on like variations. So this is all under the premise that you basically did a 2-step post. You said, if I'm going to get 100 comments or 30 comments or whatever, then I'll release the training. And then now you're following up with people before the training is released. And the premise of which you're asking them the questions is to gather more information to make the training more valuable for them. I think that's the most natural and the best way to do it, to be honest. But like, let's say you have a training in your archives, you know it's badass and you've never done a two-step on it, okay? So there's a variation of how we can start the interaction and start the call, or not start the call, start the messenger and get permission and frame it. There's a different way we can frame it to where you're not lying, basically. And there's a few different things as well. Like, let's say you just want to hit up somebody randomly in your group. You can use this entire script, okay? The script will never change. The only thing that'll ever change is not the opening message, sorry. This one, okay? Technically this one too. This is the only thing that's ever going to change, right? All we need to do to get people in this conversation is give them a reason why it's in their own best interest for us to ask them 2 or 3 questions, okay? So like if I really needed to make a bunch of sales, I got 1,000 people in my Facebook group, I would just start hitting all of them up and say, hey, are you joining the content in the group? Just wanted to check out, make sure you got everything you need. They're like, yeah. And then I'd say, hey, do you mind if I ask you 2 or 3 questions really quick? I'm actually putting together a new training and I just want to make it as valuable for you and helpful for you as possible and everybody else. Is that cool? Let me know, right? Once I get the permission, then you go into the script, okay? You can do that all the time. You know, somebody could comment on your post that you do on your organic and be like, oh my God, you know, I love your post. Boom, you hit them in the inbox and then you like the post. What'd you like about it? Right? That's awesome. Would you mind if I ask you 2 or 3 questions really quick? I'm making more posts in the future and I just want to, you know, see what you really need help with because you're in my target market to make those posts in my organic as valuable and as helpful for you as possible, right? Just as long as you frame it in your best interest, as soon as you get the commitment and the agreement that you can ask 2 or 3 questions, now we can create duality, okay? Once you have duality and the perceived challenge, then we can give insight and then that leads to the call, okay? So hopefully this makes sense, guys. I'll script out some variations of the second message here. Truth be told, I thought I already did that, so it could be on another doc, and I just forgot. But I wanted to get this out there for you guys so you can start booking calls. Believe me, I'll leave you with this. I've taught this to a lot of people, and I don't know why, but the tendency is people, they take the script, and then they change it. They're like, I mean, obviously, if you have a different offer, you got to change it, okay? But they do something totally different with it. Right? They just ask different questions. They start asking super long questions and then coaching them in the middle of the questions. Like, guys, change it for your offer, but seriously, just follow the script because it works. Okay? When I train people with this, a lot of times they take it, they make their own adjustments, they do whatever, then they come to me and they say it's not working, and then I look at their messages and it's because I didn't follow the script. So follow the script. It'll book you a lot of calls. It'll make you a lot of money. And then most importantly, let me know if you guys have questions. And I'll look at your conversations, screenshots, and make sure you're booking calls using this because this is really effective, guys. All right. That's it for this video. We'll talk soon.